The hour of 4:30 having arrived, I will call to order the meeting of our Common Council for Thursday, November 14th, 2024. Clerk?
Recording in progress.
All right, thank you so much, Clerk. Now please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You can be seated. So for tonight's invocation, we will do a brief moment of silence. All right, thank you. On to approval of the minutes. Alder Johnson makes a motion to approve the minutes from our last meeting, seconded by Alder Galvin. Yep. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor will say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The minutes are approved. Approval of the agenda. Alder DeLee makes a motion to approve the agenda, seconded by Alder Hinkfus. Any discussion here, amendments? Seeing none, all in favor will say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The agenda has been approved. Report by the mayor. Little biased, but I think we got a good budget in front of us. So of course, asking for your support for it, but really just wanted to thank all of our participants, from the alders who attended the personnel and finance committee meeting. Alder Grant as the chair of our finance committee, running that meeting. Department heads, staff, especially Director Ellenbecker and Deputy Director Jose for all the work that they've done. In particular, over many months at this point, really beginning around June timeframe to roll everything together. So really just wanted to thank all of you for all the time and attention that you've devoted to the budget process to this point. We are not a flashy people, not a flashy city. This is a pretty meat and potatoes budget, but I think it funds all of the priorities that we hold dear. A lot of the services that our residents really care for. Doing some modernizing of our organization here and filling some gaps, especially within our Parks Department, recognizing the burden that some of our staff have there and the need to support them. But otherwise, like I said, pretty basic budget here. We try to be as lean as possible, and I'm certainly satisfied with what we're presenting, but really comes down to you all. So asking for your support tonight. With that, also happy Thanksgiving, because I don't think we're getting together before then. So enjoy time with friends or family, or everybody that you want to spend some time with. So enjoy that. On to announcements. Alder Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor. In addition to happy Thanksgiving, which is also that time of year in Wisconsin, good luck to the deer hunters. Be safe. And have fun. But also wanted to point out, we held a press conference this morning, the downtown organizations and mayor here, to just really talk about a number of winter activities happening. Of course, lighting ceremony, Christkindl Market, starting Friday, tomorrow, which will go on every weekend until Christmas. Winter wine and beer walks down in the Broadway district on the Friday nights. The Peace Tree lighting ceremony is next Wednesday. The holiday parade, obviously the Saturday of opening day, and want to thank Santa Claus over there for showing up today as well, which made some really nice media shots. So a lot of stuff going on in the winter months. Get out, enjoy the winter just as much as you enjoy the summer.
Not sure what you're talking about. That's Alder Morgan, but
yes, that is true.
Appreciate the other comments. Any other announcements? All right. Next, we have a public hearing. So this is a public hearing on the 2025 proposed City of Green Bay budget. Is there anyone here who would like to speak to the budget? And if so, feel free just to approach the podium, state your name and address.
Mark Berglund, 806 North Broadway. I'd like to talk a little bit about the health insurance plan that they're proposing for the city employees, specifically the PPO plan. which is the preferred provider. They have other options, your high deductible plan and the new Surest plan. But specifically, I'd like to talk about the PPO plan. The premium for that plan is going up. That's understandable. Insurance always goes up, rarely goes down. So our premium is going up. That's too understandable. If the overall premium goes up, we should pay more and share a part of that premium. But now they want to raise the contribution percentage of the people that have to stay on the PPO plan for medical reasons. The high deductible and the Surest plan contribution rates stay the same. The contribution rate for the PPO plan is going up 5% across the board. Though there's different rates of contribution depending upon if you're enrolled in the city wellness plan or not. And that wellness plan also has some target numbers. And if you hit the maximum amount of numbers, then you get the maximum premium benefit. So they want to raise that 5%, while the other two plans stay the same. That 5%, it sounds like a low number. 5% doesn't sound like a lot until you look at how much more they will payroll deduct out of your paycheck. For me, on the PPO family plan and on the wellness program for the maximum premium deduction, that equates to a 54% increase in my payroll deduction. That's what good health insurance costs me today, as opposed to that 5% increase in January. It'll cost me 54% more out of pocket to keep my insurance plan. Granted, I've talked to a lot of my coworkers. There's a few people talking about the Surest plan. Some people are going to the high deductible plan. The majority of the people I talk to today that I work with are all going to stay on the PPO plan. I work with a bunch of young guys. They've got families. They've just had kids. They're having kids. They feel that staying on the PPO plan is the safe bet. So I think there's going to be a lot of people doing that. It's just that now for me in particular, out of my pocket, it's going to cost me 54% to keep the insurance that I need because of health issues. The single PPO plan contribution rate also goes up anywhere from 44 to 54% out of pocket, depending upon if you're enrolled in the wellness plan or not, and if you've hit the numbers or not. So the proposed cost of living is 2.5%, April 1st, I'm told. For me, that barely covers my out-of-pocket increase, and that's not till April. So the first 3 months of the year, my take-home pay will be less than it is today to keep the insurance that I feel that I need to monitor my health. For the lower wage earners, here's where there's a big problem. Let's say grade F. I'm a grade H. Grade F is your maintenance workers, your laborers, your clerks, your equipment operators, your truck drivers. And I think it's fair to say that probably is the bulk of city employees there. I mean, it covers a lot of different jobs, and these are just 4 or 5 of about, I think, 15 or 16 categories. So it's a lot of people. As far as the cost of living increase at the wage scale that they're at now, that 2.5% will not cover their insurance premium increase if they need to stay on the PPO plan. They would have to be over step 4. We've got a 7-step pay grade. And when you get to step 7, then they go to what they call the performance range, which is a lower percentage of increase. But people that are at step 4, that 2.5% cost of living is not going to even cover their additional cost.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
that 2.5% cost of living is not going to cover their increased cost to stay on the PPO plan. And a lot of these coworkers are saying, they feel they need to stay on the PPO plan. They've made a decision. They've looked at the pros and cons of all of the things, in each plan it has to have. But like I say, a big thing is, they've just gave birth. They're going to give birth in the next year. There's one particular guy who's only been with us for 6 months. His wife had a premature birth this year, and they spent 6 weeks in Madison with the preemie, who is now doing well.
Mr. Berglund, your 3 minutes has expired, so if you could just kind of bring us to the conclusion.
Okay, so it seems like, the employees that need to stay on the PPO for medical reasons are being penalized to do so. And we've got a lot of people that feel that they need to stay on the PPO plan for health reasons. I think you should look at, rescinding that 5% increase for the PPO people that need to stay on that plan. Or move the COLA up to January. For some people, it'll pay for it. For some people, it won't. But, as far as the surest and the high deductible plans, they should sell themselves. If they've got all of these benefits, people should look at that and say, that's what I need to do. Well, everybody's done in open enrollment. A lot of people have looked and they said, I need to be on the PPO plan, and we're going to get penalized to do so. So, thank you.
Sir. Thanks for your testimony. Any questions for our guest? All right. Thank you, sir. Anyone else who'd like to testify at the public hearing?
Fluffy Arts, 1207 Mojave Trail, Green Bay. Mark said a lot of what I was thinking too, but I know that the premiums for our health insurance are going to start January 1st, and our raise is going to start April 1st. Let's find a way to try and get it both to start at the same time. If we're going to do our health insurance on January 1st, give us the raise on January 1st, or vice versa. But try to find a way to do that. Thank you.
Thanks. Any questions? All right. Thank you. Anyone else who'd like to speak at the public hearing? All right. Seeing no one else, we will move along to the Joint Finance and Personnel Committee meeting from November 6th, 2024. I know this is a little bit of a change. We, I think historically have had a line for each of our departments and a few other lines here. We don't have that on the agenda this evening. So if anyone who would like to speak to any item in the budget, if you just want to press your button and get in the queue, then I will move very slowly through that list and give everybody an opportunity to press the button and press it again if something occurs to you along the way. But that's how we will do things tonight. Just real quick, in relation to something that Ms. Arts stated or requested, I just want people to know that that COLA was accelerated 6 months by this council last budget. So it was historically, or at least recent history, was in October, and it was moved up to April. So certainly made some progress in that regard, but also appreciate what's been said by our employees, of course. So with that, like I said, if you just want to press your button under the appropriate item. So the first one is to approve the request for new positions in 2025 and reclassifications. Alder Johnson makes a motion to approve that item. That was seconded by Alder Galvin. Any discussion there? Seeing none. All in favor will say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. That item has been approved. Next, to approve the mayor's recommended 2025 budget as proposed. Motion to approve made by Alder Johnson, seconded by Alder Profit. They are looking for discussion. Alder Eck.
Okay, so I was kind of going over the numbers, and I know that when we met with you originally, it was going to be a possible 5.5% increase on the proposed levy. Your goal was to do 4.9. and it ended up being 4.6. So I appreciate that. I just wanted to point that out. Thank you.
Thanks, Alder. Appreciate that. Other comments from council? Alder Presley and then Alder Grant.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a question about what Ms. Eretz brought up. Is it possible for us to bring that, bring the COLA up to January 1st, and what would be the fiscal impact of that?
Yeah, definitely a cost to it. I think there's an administrative issue pushing it real close to January 1st, but I would defer to either we'll go to Director Ellenbecker or Deputy Director. Director Ellenbecker.
Yep, we have a spreadsheet. We're just calculating this scenario. We were assuming this would come up. We just
Yeah.
want to make sure we have the right scenario to give you the answer. Yeah, currently the 2.5% is built in for April 1st, and if it was to be moved up 3%, what we're calculating is only the general levy impact. We would not at this time have the information on how it would affect the sanitary budget, the storm budget,
Sure.
Bay Beach budget, parking, utility, and any other budget that has employees in. But this would be the general levy impact. Then we would really want to have discussions with those department heads also how it would affect their budget if this was to move.
Mm-hmm. We could also go to Alder Grant if you need some time. Yeah. All right. We'll be back to Alder Presley. Alder Grant.
And I just have more of a statement. I echo what Alder Eck said, so thank you, Mayor, for doing that. And as much as I don't love increases like this, the reality is we're feeling inflation as a city as well. And I think we had really good discussion at the committee level and had good questions. And I feel confident that we're able to take care of employee salaries and positions, like you mentioned, but also there's not a lot of extra. I fear if we cut anything, we will be cutting into services. So I also want to acknowledge our staff too. I know this is one of the highest years we've had in grant writing and receiving of grants, and that's amazing because I worry what the impact would have been had we not gotten those funds. So I just want to say, please keep up the great work, and hopefully we can see a little break next year. But I do fully support this budget. Thank you.
Thanks for your words. Thanks for your work as well. Back to Director Ellenbecker, unless others have comments for us. Yeah, Alder Johnson.
Just while staff is crunching that, just to provide a little bit more clarity, particularly for those who might be in their first budget cycle, some of our staff salaries and wages are put in those other funds, right, that are funded through fees, right? So think about like parking and stormwater, which were mentioned. So that's why Director Ellenbecker can only do the levy supported positions, but just wanted to provide a little clarity on the number that she'll provide to us is only levy. There will be additional impact, which either has, we'll have to either raise those fees as well, or would have to see cost reduction to balance that out.
Good explanation.
For 2.5% from April 1st to about January 1st, it's about $132,000 impact on the general levy. And again, that is not calculating the other funds.
The one thing I think that I was sort of alluding to, and it was brought up in the past when this request was made, is there's some sort of administrative challenge. Is that not so much of a barrier, or?
It's just a challenge for you have limited staff and a lot of things that are moving around at January 1st. You have benefit changes, you have salary increases, you have all new taxes tables, you have new salary wages tables. There's just a lot moving parts. And right now, when we can separate the year end to let's say an April 1st, it's a little bit easier to be able to separate the large number of changes that are all happening at the same time.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Back to Alder Presley.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that was the only concern I have with this budget. I think that it's a good, fair budget. Like others have said, there's an increase, but there's always going to be an increase. Things seldom go down. So I wish that we could bring up that number, but it does seem like it is going to be a daunting administrative task, and that's just going to add more to our budget. So yeah, that's all I have to say on that.
Okay, thanks, Alder. Alder Hinkvis.
Thank you, Mayor. Um, one question that I would have is how much is that 5% increase? How much are we actually collecting from the employees? Um, is that 100,000? Is that 50? I don't know if Diana or Director Ellenbecker, if that's something.
Yeah, either Chief Falls. You want to take a crack at it?
Sorry, I didn't know my mic was on. So I don't think I have that answer. I think it depends on how many people stay in the PPO plan as compared to that move over. But the numbers that Mr. Berglund were saying about a 54% increase from last year, I mean that's accurate. So it's close to I think about over $100 more a month. So if you look at that times 12 times the number of employees, that's what it would be.
Back to Alder Hinkfist.
Okay, thank you very much. I think the budget is a good budget because it focused on services. So we're maintaining our services, looking to improve those services, and the amount of grants is just overwhelming. I feel, Jennifer Alder Grant, that we're both saying the same thing, but both of us looked at that, and thank you to all the staff because the work you do and the money that's brought in is huge for the taxpayers. And I don't think sometimes the staff, the team at the City Hall gets enough credit. So that's big bucks when you're talking northwards of $20 million. So awesome. There's not a lot to cut, but there are opportunities, I think, that we can look at for next year. And so thank you. And I look forward to supporting.
Thanks, Alder. Any other questions or comments? Alder Hutchison.
I appreciate. Oh, excuse me. Oh man, getting old. I got a cramp.
Need some
I
potassium.
appreciate the way the budget is laid out in this report, where there's text before a department's listing of line by line items. It was helpful. I made a number of calls to departments, people in departments to get backup information, and having this written the way it was very helpful and was able to get to the point right away. So I just want to, hopefully we keep this up. Thank you.
Thanks, Alder. All right. Any other thoughts? Alder Presley for a second time.
Sorry, I have to ask. Is it a possibility the other option that was brought up? And this is my first budget, so excuse me if I
Sure.
don't know everything.
Yeah.
But can we push back the insurance rate hikes up until April?
Oh, no, Chief Falls.
No, I don't believe we can do that. It's just part of the yearly health insurance. How it's like you have open enrollment where you can sign up, and then it's set up for the full year. So unfortunately, I don't think we could.
Right. So the plan year starts in January. And
Yeah.
that's when policies change.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I could double check. It's the first time someone's asked, but my thought is I don't believe we can.
Okay. That makes sense. I just wanted to make sure that I asked that. I am sympathetic to that 3-month gap where there's not yet the COLA, but there is an increase in insurance.
Sure.
And that is going to be hard for people. And I would just hope with future budgets, that's something we can maybe look into narrowing that gap. Now I realize, though, is not the right time to do it with this late in the game.
Thanks, Alder. Anything else? Seeing Alder Prophet?
Yeah, I too just want to echo what everyone else has said this evening, but I did want to follow up on the insurance piece of it, given my background a little bit. So I've looked at that a few times. I know it might be a little late in the game for that, but are we next year going to look at how many employees truly went over to this new Surest plan and then make some changes perhaps next year based on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if Chief Falls, if you want to speak to it. I mean, it's a very in-depth process every year. A lot of interaction with the benefits committee, which is employee populated as well. So a lot of good conversation has occurred at that level. But we're always evaluating and reevaluating our benefits package, and if there's a way to save money and improve coverage, that's definitely what we want to do. But Chief Falls.
Yeah, all I'll add to that is we'll know within a month of who moved over and who didn't. We'll know right away the percentage of people on each plan.
Okay. And then I know again it's probably too late in the game, but is there any possibility of changing what some of those contribution rates are for those that did decide to stay? Because when I looked at the breakdown, it did look like it was taking into account all three different possibilities, and adjusting those rates based on that. So is there a feasibility then if, let's say, 10 employees go to the Surest? I know it will probably be more than that, but do you know what I'm trying to say?
Are you asking, is there a possibility to change the premium contributions next year based on the people that moved over? Like for 2025?
Yeah, because you can't change it for 2025.
Yeah,
I just wanted to put that out there.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, we
That's
cannot
correct.
change it for 2025.
Okay.
And from the numbers we've been looking at, there's already a large percentage moving to the high deductible health plan and Surest. Like
Moving to the high deductible? Not sure.
Either one.
Oh, moving from the PPO to
Yeah.
those other two. You can already see those coming in?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. But yeah, just looking forward to supporting the budget though. Appreciate it. All what's in here, what Alder Hutchinson said about the blurbs before the different sections was extremely helpful. And I love how it was laid out. So looking forward to supporting.
Thanks, Alder. Alder Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor. And just to provide, much like everybody else here, right? Very, very empathetic towards the way that certain individuals will be impacted by the change in the benefits plan. And I think that there's an opportunity to talk about that in the future. I think, the time to typically talk about significant changes is when you have the ability or some bandwidth, right, to absorb some of those costs. And I think this council did a really great job last year with trying to bump up that time frame, adjusting our salaries, and we were able to do that because of the increase in shared revenue. And that is what kind of gave us the breathing room. Now, of course, what that does is it creates that structural demand on our budget every year now into the future. And so we're feeling that a little bit this year, right? But that was a decision we made. We made that commitment because we felt it was very important to do that for our staff. The one thing that I would say, though, around, adjusting the premium paid, right, for those that stay in the PPO is, to me, that's almost counterintuitive to the change that we're recommending, right? Because we're trying to create the incentive for people to have this consumer-driven plan, to be more price conscious, so that way the city's reducing its expense while hopefully our staff is still getting the same level of quality service. So if we, compensate for that, there's no incentive anymore for a consumer-driven plan. So I'm going to be really eager to see how this performs this year because I don't see this as a slam dunk in the future, and I really want to understand the impact this is having to our staff, because obviously the last thing we want to do is end up in an uncompetitive health insurance benefit plan that doesn't work for our employees. So I'm going to definitely be keeping a close eye on this over the coming year. I'm sure we all will, including staff. But just kind of want to make those couple comments. And then again, thanking staff and mayor. You really delivered a budget that we asked for in a really challenging circumstance. And we appreciate that. And I also want to commend Alder Grant as the chair of the Finance Committee, her first budget. And I think she did a really great job as well with not only navigating that committee level, but obviously working with all of us and making sure that we were comfortable with it. So it takes a lot of folks to bring something like this together, and really, really proud of the way our council has come together on a number of issues recently. And I, of course, hope that this is going to be one of those issues by the time the vote is done. So thank you.
Thanks, Alder. Anything else? Seeing none. Got a motion and a second. Is a roll call required on budget? I believe so. All right. Oh, yeah. So we can, all in favor will say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Now on to resolutions. Final budget resolution 2025. Motion to adopt made by Alder Johnson and seconded by Alder Galvin. Any final discussion here? Seeing none, we will use the board. All right, that's unanimous. Well, thank you all. No petitions or communications. Motion to adjourn made by Alder Johnson, seconded by Alder Galvin. All in favor say aye. Opposed nay. The ayes have it. We're adjourned.